The World of Outlaws season starts tomorrow, which means, yes, we are behind. But don't worry. We've got plenty to talk about today. We've got a full preview of the World of Outlaws 2026 season and a little bit of a look back at 2025 coming up here on Sprint Car Central. Welcome into Sprint Car Central. I'm your host, Tyler Isley, and thank you guys for tuning in, by the way. We've had a really good performance on the video so far, so I appreciate you guys for supporting, and please like and subscribe, as always, to get more. But before we get into all that, and before I waste my time begging you, let's prove why you should be here. Today's a World of Outlaws preview show, and we've got a few more previews this week. We've got an interview coming. We just did one with Bobby Elliott. We've got a lot to talk about with him, and was really excited to do that. We've already recorded it. So that'll be coming out here in the next week or so. But we also got a USAC sprint car preview as well. There's a lot to talk about here on in the upcoming days and weeks. But for today, again, let's just stick to the basics. World of Outlaws 2026 season preview show. And man, what a year it's shaping up to be. All the changes, driver changes, silly season. Might just be called crazy season from now on. I mean, it's a never ending season, really. And we've got plenty to talk about with that, including the most recent announcements, of course, the wait until the last minute announcements that we've seen. There's a lot of things to cover today, so stick with me as we go through them, okay? 17 drivers are going to take aim at the World of Outlaws Championship, and that includes, again, one past champion, David Gravel. Also, he's a back-to-back champion. And then we got 5 rookies joining the field as well. That includes Ashton Torgerson and Shark Racing in the 1A. Casey Jedrzak and the surprising announcement from Bill Rose Racing. We'll talk a little more about that one. Scotty Thiel in the 16C for Greg Wheeler Motorsports. Emerson Axum just announced today, actually, in the 27 for Klaus-Meyer Petrie. And then, of course, you got Scott Boguski and Three Stooges Racing in that 51 car going to make a run at the full-time Rookie of the Year title this year. You look at that list. We'll talk a little more about it, but it gets into a different story. New faces and new places. Casey Jedrzak and Bill Rose Racing team up for their first year together for a rookie run for Casey in the World of Outlaws. Casey broke onto the scene last year, the Kings Royal pole sitter last year, and having been in attendance for that, it was incredible. I mean, look, that's a storyline, a storybook type of a situation. It made the most of it. Had a decent run. Came out of there, heads held high. They did more than they expected to do. He's going to join forces with Bill Rose, and I think that 6 car has been certainly much improved over the last couple of years. Zach Hampton, I think, was a really good addition to the team. Unfortunately, those things fell apart. And it opens the door, again, for Casey Jedrzak to jump in and have an opportunity to chase a championship with the World of Outlaws. Donnie Schatz, the familiar 15, but owned by CJB Motorsports now this year. That's going to be an interesting group, of course. Now, CJB Motorsports is capable of winning races, and I think they are going to win some races this year. But it's going to be a feel-out process. Will they come out of the gate strong at Volusia here tomorrow? Hard to say. I say tomorrow. You're going to see this video, I think, tonight here in the next hour. So, tomorrow, Donnie Schatz, we're going to learn really quick what CJB Motorsports is all about. Scotty Thiel on that 16C, this is going to be an interesting one. I was very surprised to hear they're going to be full-time, but I think Scotty Thiel's got a lot to offer. We will see exactly where they land and how things are going to go. This is one that I question a lot, but it's not for the lack of talent. I think Scotty Thiel is a really talented race car driver. It's just a matter of seeing kind of what's going to happen on the back end. You look at Spencer Basin in the SJM, Stenhouse Junior Marshall, number 17, sponsored by NOS Energy Drink. We'll see what happens there. That's going to be a really interesting one. And it came off the heels of the surprise move of the offseason, Sheldon Haudenschild leaving Stenhouse Junior Marshall Racing. And up until yesterday, earlier this week, wasn't yesterday, but earlier this week, having not announced anything about where they would be, well, Sheldon Haudenschild lands at KCP Racing, the Biggest surprise, not surprise, the storyline of the winner. We finally have the information we were looking for that we expected the whole time. Sheldon Haudenschild joining forces with KCP in that 18 car. They will be sponsored by Niles Energy Drink. I think that was the biggest question mark. Would it stay Niles Energy Drink for Sheldon? It does. You look elsewhere, you got Scott Boguski in the 51 for Three Stooges. That's not really new, but it's definitely another interesting move. I like Scott Boguski. Think a lot of what's going to happen there. They were really strong at Knoxville last year, so I'm excited to see what comes of that. You look back at 2025, and it was a year that really was dominated by three drivers: David Gravel, Buddy Kofoid, Carson Macedo. David Gravel, of course, won the championship, and Garrett Williamson came home Rookie of the Year last year. You had 16 different winners, but only 6 of those winners were full-time drivers. The rest of them came from outside of the World of Outlaws ranks, including Kyle Larson, Rico Abreu, a handful of others. Anthony Macri, I think, was one of the winningest drivers. But the thing that really, I think, the biggest, most memorable moment of those 16 drivers, Dale Blaney stealing one at Sharon. Not really stealing, dominating one at Sharon. And breaking a record that was set by Dave Blaney just 4 years ago, being oldest driver to win with the World of Outlaws. And not only doing that, but to beat your brother in the same exact car at the same exact racetrack. The story wrote itself. Obviously, those of you who know me, have known me for a long time, you know I'm a huge fan of the Blaney family. Big time history there. That was a storybook type of a situation at Sharon last year. Really excited to see what Dale does. Of course, he was running with Barris Racing at Volusia in a 360 car for the ASCS. We'll see who he ends up with this year. Of course, he's going to run a lot of races in that 10 car, I would presume, or a few races in the 10 car, I would presume. But still be determined what the lowrider is going to be doing in 2026. When you look ahead to this year, and excuse that noise, I was trying to flip the page and didn't do it as quiet as I wanted to. You look at this year and what's going to happen this season. It's going to come down to a few different things, okay? This is one, I don't think we're going to see as dominant of a year as we saw from 3 drivers. I think there's going to be a few drivers that are in the conversation. Some of it comes from just simply being in better situations, maybe better chemistry, better higher morale maybe for teams. But I think teams are going to start to close the gap on the half miles. That's the one thing that we've really had the question going over the last few years, probably since. Let's go back to when David Gravel reunited with Big Game Motorsports. Let me slow down for a second. Let's go back to when David Gravel reunited with Big Game Motorsports. The big storyline was they came out and dominated on the half-mile tracks. They left a lot to be desired everywhere else. They closed the gap, and they become this powerhouse team over the last couple of seasons, really the last 3 years. The story has always been, can anybody close that gap early in the season? Can anybody close that gap at those half-mile tracks? Knoxville, Eldora, Volusia, early in the season when you have 6 races to start the year there. That's the question mark that everybody's been kind of wanting to see. Will anybody answer that bell? Logan Schuchart's been close, been really good at Volusia, but not really good anywhere else. Kind of unnoticed everywhere else. Buddy Kofoid is the one that really sticks out to me. When you look at Buddy Kofoid last year, he had one finish outside the top 10 to end the year, from August 15th all the way up into the end of the season, including closing the year with the win at Charlotte. Buddy, of course, the biggest question mark was the half-mile tracks. Can he close that gap? As everybody's question has been. But I went and looked through the points, and I went and looked at one specific weekend. This weekend last year. Dirt Car Nationals, Buddy Kofoid didn't have a single top 10. Could you imagine him running the way he did the rest of the year and really the last back end of the season, back half, 3/4 of the season, starting it from the very beginning, having multiple top 10s, maybe even a few top 5s at Dirt Car Nationals, rolling into the season with some momentum? Buddy Kofoid might have won the championship if some of those results are different. And now, I know what we all want to say, right? Ifs and buts and all that stuff. But it's a genuine thought, right? Because Buddy Kofoid was that good, was championship caliber last year. And the biggest weekend that hurt him was, again, this weekend last year. That's going to be a storyline to watch as we go into the Dirt Car Nationals this weekend. When it comes to guys that I think are going to really compete, I think there's going to be about 9 of them. I think we're going to see 9 different full-time winners in the series this year. That's going to be one of my first bold predictions as well. I got 3 of them. But my first one, 9 of the 17 full-timers will get a win in 2026. That's going to cut down on the domination, the 17 wins from David Gravel, the 12 wins from Buddy Kofoid, and the 11 from Carson Macedo. The only 3 above 10 races won this season. I don't know that we're going to see another driver approach that 17 number. I don't think we're going to see anybody reach 15. We'll talk a little more about that later. As for the Rookie of the Year, you got 5 cars in the battle, and I think there's 2 that stand out the most, and I think we all can kind of agree if we really want to sit there. If we want to argue it, sure, but I think we can all agree that the top 2 are going to be Ashton Torgerson and Emerson Axsom, based on today's announcement. Again, the Axsom will be following the Outlaws. Ashton Torgerson has a full year on a touring series, a national touring series under his belt. Shark Racing decided they didn't want to split anymore. They wanted to follow each other. They wanted to run through the rest of the year. And I think part of that comes down to Bobby Allen having passed away last year. One of the big storylines. Obviously, a terrible situation that was last year with losing Bobby Allen, of course, a legend of the sport. But I think part of that comes down to why this decision was made, why these 2 teams are going to follow each other and work together with the World of Outlaws. It's going to be a very big help to Ashton Torgerson. Jacob Allen, of course, running the team now, is going to have his hands full, 2 different cars. But I'm expecting that 1A to be really fast this year. I'm expecting a lot of big things from Torgerson. Emerson Axsom, I think, is going to be really good. They've been really good in that 27 car, but I think there's just been a little bit left to be desired in the performance area that they just haven't quite matched up with the 1A yet. That's why I'm picking Ashton Torgerson to be the Rookie of the Year in 2026. Look at some other predictions I have. The most wins in the season, I think, is going to be Buddy Kofoid. I think he will win. I went vague. I went 10 plus. I think he'll win 12. I think that's going to be the number to beat for drivers in 2025 or 2026. He will match his 2025 number. My most improved driver in 2026, believe it or not, is going to be Sheldon Haudenschild. And I think there's a lot of things behind this. This is a story that I really wanted to talk about. From 2020 to 2022, Sheldon Haudenschild's average finish was 7.5. From 2023 to 2025, the average finish was 9.1. The difference here, I think, has been the inconsistencies, especially at the half-mile racetracks that are not Williams Grove. That's the one place that Sheldon Haudenschild has been really good with SJM the whole time. The story has been that the problem and the reason for the split was because they didn't want to switch engines. And we don't really know if that's true. That's just what I've heard from behind the scenes, right? If that's truly the case, and if Sheldon got his way with that 18 car, that could be a really big thing. Of course, he brings his entire crew with him for the most part, so it's going to be the 17 SJM car with KCP equipment. We'll see what that does, but the thing that really strikes me about this whole move is how quiet it was for everybody seemingly knowing what was coming. I think everybody knew back in late November, everybody had a couple expectations, but the majority of people said the KCP 18 car. As drivers and teams started to fill, right, of course, Rico Abreu and Tony Stewart Racing kind of merged and decided they're going to work together, so that takes that one out in terms of you got to level up or at least stay the same. Some other cars and question marks kind of got filled. It left the 18 and Sheldon Haudenschild, KCP and Sheldon Haudenschild. That was it. That was it from December, probably December 15th on. That's what everybody's expected. So why did they wait so long? Why does the attention get drawn to Sheldon Haudenschild and this KCP team? I don't really know the answer. I don't know if there was some behind the scenes stuff that wasn't answered or wasn't quite sorted out yet. I don't know if they just wanted to be quiet, if they wanted to try to fly under the radar. Even though doing that, you think it kind of put them further into the spotlight, right? They were the ones everybody was waiting on until recently. This puts a lot of pressure on this team because, one, you left Stenhouse Junior Marshall Racing, a solid team, a team with decent backing, to go to KCP Racing, another team with solid funding, decent backing, good race cars, right? So why did you make the move? Was it truly that you believe you can compete further? Do you believe that there's more to get out of that 18 car than there is in the 17? I'm not questioning that, and I'm not asking that question or posing it as this is a mistake. I'm posing it as these are the questions that are going to be asked. These are the questions that everybody's wondering, I think, going into this season. It creates an unnecessary pressure, but maybe that's what Sheldon's gonna thrive under, right? Maybe that's what he needs, is that extra pressure from everything this entire offseason culminating. Well, damn, they're waiting for something. They're waiting for some reason they haven't announced yet. And as time got closer and closer, we get the announcement, we get the car reveal, and everybody's like, okay, great. Now why do we wait so long? I think there's going to be something to that. I brought you those numbers earlier, the average finish numbers, for a reason. 7.5 dropped to 9.1. 3 years prior, and then the last 3 years. You look at this coming season for Sheldon Haudenschild, I think it's a really big year. For one, the biggest question, can he compete for a championship? Can he keep the cars together? Can the cars stay together? I think the reliability of that 17 car kind of went down a little bit over the last couple of seasons. I think that became a very big point of frustration. I think some other things along that line became points of frustration, and the performance ultimately drove down. It wasn't that Sheldon was tearing up more race cars, they just were more of a non-factor week in and week out. Only 4 wins last year, coming off a year where they had 8 in 2024, but they were less consistent in 2024 than they were last year. I think there's a big change this year. And it certainly comes from being in a different race car, but I think there's just going to be a big mentality shift, a big shift in the way that Sheldon Haudenschild approaches week in and week out. I'm expecting a big improvement this year. I don't know that it's going to result in a podium points finish, but I think the average finish is going to go up. I think the win total is going to go up. I think they're going to go above 5, probably 6 or 7 this year. Don't even go there with the 6, 7 stuff. But I think they'll get 6 or 7 wins this year, and I think that there'll be a consistent threat to win any given race. And I'm expecting some improvement on the half-mile tracks, which I think is where the biggest struggle point was for Sheldon and that team when they were with SJM. That's why I'm picking Sheldon Haudenschild to be the most improved. I don't know if that's a popular pick. I really don't. I don't watch a whole lot of other people and what they say, but I would assume it probably is. It feels like that's kind of a match that put itself, again, a lot of pressure on themselves to improve and be better, and I think they will be. Let's go ahead and go through my 3 bold picks before I give you my champion pick. My first one I already mentioned again, 9 full-time drivers will win a race in 2026. I stand by that, and I'm going to stick to that number. I think we'll probably approach that 16 race winners once again in 2026, though. I don't believe we will see a driver go above 13 wins this year. I think the wealth is going to be spread a little bit. We're going to see more guys at the front. We're going to see a much more competitive series than I think we've seen in a long time from top to bottom, especially at the top. I think we got 6 deep that can go and win any given night. And that's going to make this a very competitive season. I'm excited for it. Again, I think the gap is closing between everybody else in that Big Game Motorsports team. We might see a new person at the top of the championship standings. My last one is Bill Balog. I think he's going to win 5 or more races in 2025. 2026. Bill Balog wins 5 or more in 2026. That's not terribly surprising. That's not really even a terribly crazy pick, right? He had, 3 wins last year? Was in contention for plenty more before issues happened. I'm expecting another big year, another big-time breakout year from Bill Balog to really solidify himself on the scene in the Anderson 17. That car is also one of the best looking race cars in the series this year. That's a no doubter. Now all that to say this, my championship prediction, probably a little chalky, of course. I could have went David Gravel and just picked the 2-time defending champion, but I didn't go that direction because I genuinely don't believe that we're going to see quite as much dominance from David Gravel this year. He's the most consistent driver, and he's been the best driver in the series for the last 2 years, and that is without question. That's why he's a champion the past 2 years. But something about this year gives me this feeling that we're going to see something different. Now, I could be wrong, and I could just say, I just wanted to pick something different, but I'm standing by this. I'm going to stand in the paint on this pick no matter what. I think Buddy Kofoid, and we're going to see tomorrow, the start of this year could really determine whether or not that stays in contention. I think that Buddy Kofoid comes out and wins the 2026 World of Outlaws Championship. Again, the way he finished last year, you can go all the way back to the middle of June, and I think he only had 3 or 4 finishes outside the top 10. those 3 or 4 finishes, a little bit better, take care of the equipment, don't wreck the race car. And Buddy Kofoid's a champion last year. A better start to the year last year, and he's a champion. I think that's a really big conversation. I think that's going to be a really big point of emphasis for them as they start the year strong. And again, I'm taking Buddy Kofoid. I just think that Roth team is going to be the team to beat in 2026. So with all that said, we got a 20-minute episode in, and I think that is pretty fair, pretty reasonable. Let me know who you guys are taking as the World of Outlaws champion. Let me know who you guys are taking to take home the Big Gator Championship this weekend. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be a fun weekend of action with the World of Outlaws. We also follow that up with the USAC Sprint Cars starting off their season as well. They practice tonight at Ocala, go over to Volusia, get their 2 nights in there, and then go to Ocala again to finish out the week. It's going to be a really exciting week of action, a week and a half of action between those 2 series. So I'm really excited for that. We'll have a USAC Sprint Car Series preview coming up here in the coming days, probably no later than Friday, I would presume, but might be Saturday. We will also have that interview again with Bobby Elliott coming out over the next few days. I'm very excited for that. Love the conversation. One of the guys I've gotten to know over the last year, and have really enjoyed the conversations we've had. And we've had an interview before. It was back on a different channel. And so we kind of just got a chance to catch up, follow up on that, and talk about what the year would hold. Really excited for him and the year they've got planned ahead on that 5E team. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Again, if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It just helps this video continue to reach more eyes. Helps this channel continue to grow. Look, we're brand new, starting up fresh here. So appreciate all the help we can get. I thank you guys so much. And with all that said, we'll see you guys next time out with a USAC Sprint Car season preview for 2026.